This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
I think, is this everybody who said they were for sure coming? And we can, are we comfortable getting started? Eric just left, actually. Maybe you should wait.
He's there.
No, Eric's back.
Okay. Cool. So I added a couple things to the agenda super fast. Just that we just brought up. So if you're concerned about that, go ahead and I can I guess I can actually put in a link in the message. We have it. Okay. But okay, share. Okay, cool. I think so. That's just to the agenda. And I'm happy to get started. And I think the only thing I want to say to start, and this kind of hits on new meeting structure. So I don't know how comfortable everybody is. Are people comfortable with me talking a little bit about that now, or do you want me to wait until the end of the meeting?
What's the agenda?
It's we have on the agenda that it would be a new business at the end.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to hold off on that, and we can go through the normal stuff, and then talk about some thoughts I had.
Yeah, especially if it's going to lead to discussion, probably wait till later on.
Cool. I guess then the only thing I have to say is this is going to be great. We're going to have a great time. Someone's going to join the call. I don't know who it is. And no, did they come? It didn't. It looks like they're not in. Oh, here.
We lost Ted. So this might be Ted again.
Oh, it's Ted. Oh, great.
Here.
Is that you? Yeah.
It is I. I've never done this before. This Google Meets really sucks.
Yeah. I added that to the meeting structure.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to get started with the public comment portion of the meeting. Does anyone have any comments or things they want to add to the agenda? I guess can also be part of that.
Just to be clear, this is time that's set aside for people who are Easthampton residents who are not members of the garden, not garden members.
Who may be in attendance.
So the thing is, you can ask, are there members of the public present? The answer is no.
No. Cool. So moving on then. We have acceptance of the minutes. Anyone want a second? Oh yeah, Karen, you're muted, I think.
She is muted.
Okay.
There we
okay,
go.
can
Yeah.
you hear me? So
Yeah.
in the minutes, it said that I was looking at Douglas fir that was treated, and I've been looking at only untreated lumber for the beds.
Okay, cool. So, okay. And you also have a part in this agenda to talk about the pollinator garden. So any other stuff like that too.
Yeah, when that shows up later down.
Cool. All right. So is everyone good with the minutes? Anyone want to?
Well, I just want that corrected in the minutes.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I keep meaning to say the agenda moving forward, but yeah, we will adjust that in the minutes. From last meeting, I guess.
Let me just get them up for a second, please.
Untreated.
Karen?
Yeah.
Yes, so the minutes read that you were only able to find pressure treated. Was that incorrect? Not that what you're
That was
looking for.
incorrect. Incorrect.
Okay.
I was able to find untreated Douglas fir, but that
Okay,
was
okay.
back in November.
Yes, you're right. Okay, I got it.
Okay, cool. So is anybody want to second or affirm that they
second
feel
it.
good about the agenda? Okay, great. Oh,
Yeah.
cool. We have somebody else coming in though.
Brad,
Are they in? Maybe. Hello.
Luke Doubleday. Who's that?
Who is that? I have no idea. They're muted. I think Luke, you're muted.
I am. Yes.
Hi.
Hi. I'm a member of the public. My wife was actually going to attend
Oh,
the meeting
cool.
that she's looking to.
oh, wow.
She's considering trying to get plot, but she
Oh, great.
was booked this evening. So I'm just here to
Okay, cool.
pay attention.
Okay, great. Well, we have a part at the beginning of the meeting for public comment of non-committee members. So that can be your public comment, but if there's any, other questions or concerns, just feel free to jump in and we'll definitely don't hold back. And yeah,
Thank you very much.
get the most you can out of the meeting.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, great. And Karen was going to propose we're good with the minutes. Does anyone want to second that, or with the agenda? Does anyone want to second that?
Sure.
Great. Okay, cool. So we're going to, Ted, if you want to start talking about the treasurer report and whatnot.
Can I?
Sorry, I'm just going to note that we've adopted the minutes.
Okay.
Can I? I do want to make a short presentation about the volunteer thing. If it's not already on the agenda, which I think isn't, if it could be slipped in there, I'll take like 2 seconds.
Yes, it is in
Okay.
there. It is in there.
Thanks.
Our minutes were adopted as amended. Now we're on treasures.
Okay, Stephen, I hope you got that revised report, because I had received a copy of the bill that was paid to the Broadbrook for the winterization.
Yes, we have it, and it's been posted on our Google site.
Okay, I don't know why I can't get in to the meeting. I'm on my phone. The only change from the last was the only change actually since October was that payment to Broadbrook. So we are, this is what we would start the year with. From here on in, any new, I actually did receive, somebody actually made a payment for a plot already, which is not included in there, and will be included as soon as we start receiving other payments. But this is basically our end of year for last year and beginning of the year for this year, what we have in the various purchase orders and in our unallocated funds and the petty cash. Does anybody have any questions? I did, the one other new thing was I did open a purchase order for Fleury lumber, because Frank had talked about being able to get lumber to do some of the projects around the place. So we can go to Fleury lumber, and you need to just ask that the bill be put on the Easthampton Community Garden account. The account is actually in the Easthampton Community Garden name. And please get an actual receipt and get the receipt to me directly or to Barbara at City Hall. And so that we can get everything signed and get the bill paid promptly.
Ted, thanks for doing
That's
it.
about
It's awesome.
any questions?
No, I just think it's great that we've got a PO with them now, because there's just stuff they have that the other hardware stores don't have. So that's going to be good for us, especially the lumber part.
Okay, good. Good. We also have, as you remember, we still have the PO for tractor box. I know you guys were looking at the hoses and other things there. So we should at least be set to begin to do whatever we need to do at those two locations.
I just want to make sure, because I'm not really, I just want to make sure I'm reading the document correctly, because some financial lingo is a little over my head. But so I just want to make sure the city Easthampton Community Garden account total is how much we have available in our account, and the petty cash is the petty cash available.
That's correct.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
And now I know Stephen still has his pet. I have some of the petty cash that came to me when I took over, and Stephen maintains petty cash. He's got to buy the keys for the shed, et cetera, et cetera. So he keeps a certain amount of cash on hand. So that's the combined petty cash for the two of us. Just to be sure, unallocated funds are available to be help replace funds that might be spent out of our ongoing purchase orders. For instance, if at Flory Lumber we were to purchase $350, we don't have enough in the account. We would have to up the amount in the account once the purchase order amount that you see, the balance is spent. And then anytime we think there's a need to increase the amount for a particular order, we would have to approve it and do the increase for us. That's it for me, unless people.
All right. Anyone have any other questions? Everyone looks good. Okay, cool. We'll go on to operations.
Do we want to adopt the treasurer's report?
Yes.
I think we should. Yeah.
Yeah, should always be adopted or.
Move we accept the treasurer's report. We adopt it.
I second.
You get to say all in favor.
All in favor.
Aye.
Great. Frank, you can go ahead.
Okay, so Mark and I are gonna have a hose date where we get to go look for hoses.
Yeah, what fun.
Yeah, that's gonna be so exciting. I can't wait. And I'll probably go again up to the shed and just see what we need. You know, it'd be nice to kind of phase out some of the older hoses and just go with the ones that we were looking at. And I'm really happy about this whole PO Flory Lumber. I think that's going to be good, because if we're going to rebuild beds and build other beds, we're gonna need them. And I don't want to say, we'll talk to them. They may work with us on some things too. Lawnmower is going to get tuned up. I'll do that within the next month. So Ted, I'll get the receipt to you for that, and probably the weed whackers as well.
Okay.
The emails that were going out in terms of plot availability, Olivia's not going to be back, which is too bad because she was awesome to have around. But if her plot in P2 is now going to be empty, and then Sarah and the other Sarah and her mom want to move to B6, then we can take what I will now anoint as the Thistle Quad, and we can cover it, bury it, put it to sleep, and we'll probably even want to start thinking about how we can isolate that area, because we're going to have to watch the other plots around it. I know, Sarah, I think you had some thistle popping up in yours in the past, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we'll do a little more research. I think we're going to have to kind of dig down and see if we can't put some kind of subterranean barrier, whether it's digging down and putting gravel or something that makes it easier to pull that stuff out. But hopefully we can choke it out. I think one thing I'm gonna do is, I usually put off doing a weed inspection. The first one's usually not till the end of June or something. But I'm gonna go around very early on, probably mid to late April, and I'm gonna inspect every single plot, looking for like just baby thistle that's coming up. I know what it looks like, and just to make sure, because it's picked up in my plot just because of seed spreading. So it's something that we're just really going to have to live with now, like Lyme disease. But it is like a disease in a way. But we're going to have to kind of stay on top of this. And it may be something that I'll bring up with the committee. We may need to kind of inspect for it, periodically. I don't know what that period would be, but we're really going to need to stay on top of it and make sure it does not get a foothold anywhere else. Because as we know, it's not an easy thing to control. And probably we're going to want to organize a work party for that quadrant down there and get it covered up. So just a word out. I did put this in an email, but it'll be good to have in the meeting, in the recording. But we're going to have to start gathering cardboard again, because we're going to need to shut that other plot down. I know Aaliyah did a really good job of keeping it cleaned out, but that stuff everything else may have been sleeping, but I just don't ever believe thistle sleeps. I think it's been a kind of mild winter, so I wouldn't be surprised if it starts popping up all over that plot. So that's something that we're going to want to do on our opening day is definitely have a work party for that. And we have lots of new wood bark or wood mulch that was delivered within the last month and a half. So we got a lot of material to work with as well.
Okay.
I think that's all I have. If anybody has anything they think that I should add, I'd love to hear it.
No, I just have a question. Somebody had mentioned at one point that the Easthampton Community Center was a good source for cardboard. And I went over there early one morning, and they have a bin for cardboard, but it had a padlock on it. So do people know how to get cardboard from there, or is it not a good source?
Yeah, get some bolt cutters. No, just
No, just ask them if they'll open it or when they're willing to do it. I'm sure they'll be happy to share.
Yeah, we just probably need to talk to somebody there.
Yeah.
And if you're ever in need of some, Small Oven also has a ton of cardboard, so I can just keep it in mind if you're like in the mindset I can set some aside or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, because I can get some up at the community college. Stuff gets delivered up there, but yeah, we're gonna want to start. I mean, we basically have over a month here now, a month and a couple of weeks where we can start collecting, and we just put it in the shed for now if we have to.
Okay.
So that's all I have that comes to mind. So if anybody can think of any, or if anyone has any questions, so I'm all ears.
I do have a couple of hoses I can donate. They're just hanging in my basement, but I know my son fixed one, but I'm not sure. There's one or two others, but I think I should test them out before I bring them over to make sure they're not
Okay.
leaking. So there'll be between 1 and 3 hoses. One of them is really long and heavy, but I was thinking that could go by the shed because it could reach pretty far.
Okay.
Yeah, so I will, as soon as it's not freezing anymore, I'll test them in the backyard and see how they are.
Great.
It sounds good,
And
Mark.
I might ask around or do some research, but since we are a subcommittee of the sustainability committee, it might be good, or the sustainability of Easthampton stuff. It might be good to see if we can recycle the old hoses. I wonder if that's like an option anywhere. Versus, I don't know what your plan was for disposal, but I'm just going to Google that.
No, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them are really pretty bad.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know if they can be used again, but if there's some other way to recycle them, like with plastic bags and all that stuff, maybe could inquire.
Yeah, I'll
Somebody
just do
with a-
some Googling, because I also think, I know there's been some updates in the state's management of like what can be disposed of. So they've got a lot of new updated links about how to dispose of different things, like
Okay.
more
Great.
properly and things. Right.
Sarah, someone joined us during Frank's, by phone during Frank's presentation.
Oh, yeah. Who is 413 is number?
Another welcome visitor. How cool.
You're muted,
Yeah,
but if you
hello.
want to say hi, you can. It's also okay if you don't want to. All right, well,
Could I ask a question of Frank?
I'm here.
yeah.
Frank, this is Ted. I was just wondering, in addition to hoses, the nozzles, they seem very, very long. Is it possible just to go back to the old brass, unfancy,
I
but
think we should. I agree, Ted.
durable?
Yeah, we look at that.
If we could find them, yeah.
Yeah.
Or have
I've
them more.
searched that.
It's really hard to find anything that's not just a bunch of trash plastic.
Plastic. All I find is plastic.
Repeat that, Marge.
All I have found is plastic. I searched almost all last summer
Yeah.
for nozzles, and I found some small brass, but they were part plastic, and they were pretty simple, but they didn't have all the options, the thing that you could turn, but I don't know if we really need that.
Right.
Well, usually the brass ones, if you screw them in or out, it'll make it more of a spray or a straight shot. So they do have some flexibility.
They do just fine.
Yeah.
The
Good.
Florence
wands.
Hardware. Yeah, Florence Hardware has a lot of old-fashioned stuff.
Oh, let's check that out.
Yeah, but we don't have a PO with them.
Ah, okay.
Oh, we'll figure something
That's the
out.
other part of it.
Maybe
They
we'll
have
get a
little and
donation.
penny. They're not too expensive.
Yeah, we've got Penny.
Yeah. We'll figure something out.
And they're pretty expensive, man. Their stuff is
They are.
crazy expensive. I mean, even watering wands would be nice, but even there, it's really hard to find one that will last more than a season.
Some
Yeah,
I
water.
mean, that's really what I prefer when I water, is I can reach down and I'm not and get underneath the plants without getting the leaves wet. But yeah, no, it's still Ted, if I can find anything like that, I would rather have something like that. It's a lot more durable for sure.
Okay. Thank you, Frank.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it may be something we could ask them to order for us too. There's always that option.
You can get them online. They are expensive though.
What's that, Mark?
You can get the brass hose nozzles online, but as you point out, they're not cheap.
Yeah, right.
How many would we need, do you think?
Well, we'd have
How
to
many? Well, yeah.
How many? Yeah.
We have to test the ones we have and see which ones work. That's the issue.
Yeah, and you need a minimum of 10 probably.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, Amazon available.
Do we have a PO with Bezos?
Awesome.
Maybe he donate them or something. The guy's only got $1 gazillion.
Yeah, right.
Support the environment.
So you think this person's trying to join the meeting again? Oh.
That looked like a different. Okay, well, maybe they had a problem. Hello.
Sure. Hello.
Welcome.
Hi. Oh, maybe they're just being a little sneaky,
Shy.
and they'll say hi when they're ready.
Right.
Or maybe their phone's having a hard time. Okay. So we can move on to the donation garden. I think that one we don't have. That's one of our vacant committee head positions right now, right?
No, there was a volunteer last year. What was her name again? I forget.
What are you talking about?
The donation garden.
Linnea was on the list.
Linnea. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't heard from her. She's one of the
I haven't either.
8 or 9 people I've reached out to a couple of times, and I haven't heard back from her. I think I came across an email that said she's on retreat to March.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, I guess I know March. What did you say, Margie?
I think it said March 5th. I think it was an email she sent to you, Frank, and I happened to look down the email chain, and
Okay.
there's yours.
Well, I guess we'll hold off on.
An email from Linnea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could try and find it and then resend it, but it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll write a note, and either I'm comfortable emailing her just to check in, or else
I've emailed her twice already.
Okay. Well, I think it might be okay, here we go. I guess if you guys are comfortable with it, we can wait until the next meeting to see if by then we've heard from her, and then we can talk about if she's still comfortable leading that committee portion of the committee, and if not, we can put that position up to be filled.
It seems like something that can wait. I think we have more urgent matters to discuss.
Cool.
Like the application fee and things like that.
Awesome. I agree.
Yeah, for tonight you don't have to, but I wouldn't wait too long on finding somebody to do it, or else it won't happen. Then we'll be waiting in May and there'll be nobody there. So hopefully Linnea will come through.
Yeah.
Well, she's on.
And if not, I'm sure we can get.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, Karen, do you want to talk about the pollinator garden update?
Yes. So the pollinator garden has wood chips on it. And last year, based on my research then, I outlined where beds could be put. I have plants that can go in there. Like I have a little pollinator garden at the house, and some plants are too big, and I'm happy to transplant them over in the other garden, but I need to know where the beds are going to be. So could we go to a Flurry and talk to them and make sure there's not going to be supply chain issues, all of this kind of thing? Start to get this set up so that we can see if the wood's going to be coming through, and then we can just set up. I mean, 2 people, I think, can put the beds together. I've pulled them apart or unscrewed them. So I'm thinking, should I go over to Flurry and talk to them about possible lumber?
I think that sounds great. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, I guess I would ask Ted, or we can all kind of look at the sheet here. Is there,
well,
like
I know it's 300 is the limit. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I think the wood up at the flower beds by the driveway are falling apart. So I can measure what we might use for the pollinator garden. I don't know exactly what they would want for the beds up by the driveway, but it would be good to have a sense of how much feet lumber we need before I go and talk to them.
I think that's a really
Yeah.
good idea. If you measure everything out,
Mhm.
because then they can give us an estimate, and if there's not enough money allocated in that line item, we could add more to it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would say too, I am not super stressed about the ones by the parking right now. There's one that's like more precarious than the others. So I think whatever information you get will help me decide like which things to prioritize up there. So yeah, you can just focus on the pollinator measurements and not stress on the other 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'd like to point out that the picnic table is kind of falling apart. So
Yeah.
the idea is maybe we could take the picnic table apart and use that lumber somewhere for bed type reinforcing. I don't know what it's made out of, but it's been sitting there for years. So
Nice to have a picnic table, though.
Yeah.
well, it would be nice if we had a picnic table, because people do sit there and they do put seedlings on there. They put seedlings under there. So I'm telling you, if you sit on it, it just goes popping up in the air and you land on the floor. So
Well, that's a good idea to take that apart. I just moved it to end of the new business conversation zone so that we can maybe more thoroughly make a decision about if we want a new picnic table. But I think that's actually such a good. I always forget about it, but it bothers me every time I'm there. So that makes a lot of sense. Right.
Okay. So I will go to Flurry.
Great. All right. Anything else from the pollinator garden?
No,
just about going
go ahead.
to Flurry. The manager there is Rebecca, and she's the one who handles the account. So if you could just talk to Rebecca, I don't know if the most of the guys who do the stuff there would know about it. She's probably the best one to speak to. She's in the little office behind the main desk there.
Okay. Yeah, I've been in there. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Sarah, if we're going by the agenda, I think we skipped over the outreach report. But maybe
Oh, we did. Oh my God, Margie, why did I do that?
no problem. I don't have too much to say. And I know, is Eric still with us here?
Yeah.
I'm still here.
I don't know why I don't see everyone on my screen, and I can't figure out how to change that. But anyway, Eric, you want to go first, or shall I?
I don't have anything, so
Okay.
I'll go first and say I don't have anything.
Well, we have, it depends if we're going to be using C12 which was the garden that needed some reviving. And if we're using that, we have 5.5 open plots since I've taken the thistle quad off the list. So we have B5, B7, B8, B10, D12, and C12 possibly. And all through the winter, I've been getting emails from people who want garden plots. I didn't count. I didn't do anything about it because I like Frank's term of being in garden hibernation. I didn't want to deal with it. So I asked people to get back to me mid-March to the end of March when we'll have a better idea of how many plots are available, and everybody was agreeable. Of course, I was very nice and welcoming, and that's about all I have right now, just that there's still interest, and we do have some people who have left. And then
I guess I had
there's just, I think there's now 7 or 8 people who haven't gotten back to me, and all but one of them I'm pretty sure will be returning, but I don't know. If anyone knows Shireen Smith, I don't know her, and I haven't heard anything. That's all I got. Now I'm hearing an echo.
Margie?
Ted, did you? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember that I paid for
Yep.
for the full B8, but I was donate half?
Yep. I counted your half in with the report. That's why I said 5.5 or 4.5, depending on D12.
Yeah. Sorry.
And I will put out there that the half a plot, once I send people applications, that the half a plot is paid for, or will be.
And I guess I just wanted to ask really quick, and maybe I guess I'll just include this when we talk about the finalizing the application, but is there, yeah, well, we just should put on the application the dates that you need the applications in by, so that way you can assess how many, because usually part of that is the people who are returning.
Well, we usually do
confirming.
have a deadline.
Okay.
And wasn't the deadline like April 3rd or something in the past?
Okay.
Anybody remember?
For turning in their a check to you?
Yeah, for returning gardeners who at least let us know. And I think also getting the applications in.
Yeah, I'll just put that at the top in bold.
That would be great. When is our next meeting? Maybe we should have it before the next meeting. The next meeting is April 6th.
Yeah.
First in April. So maybe we should have like April 5th or 4th as the deadline. I think that's how we did it before.
All right. Let me see.
That would make sense.
Okay. Would the 3rd be better for you though, Margie, if you had it like the deadline be a few days before a meeting?
Yeah, sure. That would help.
Okay. I'll just have it be that Monday, and then could see who struggles in after.
April 3rd, yeah.
Okay. Great.
Oh, just one more thing. The people who already were so eager to join that they sent in an old application. Barbara had let me know and asked me what to do. And I said, yeah, just, deposit it. And I sent an email. It was Cheryl and Steve Coltman. And I let them know that we had not revised the application yet or decided on the fees. So they were fine. Well, I hadn't heard back, but I let them know they might need to redo the application might not be necessary, or add a little bit if the fee goes up. And
I would
I
think we should just send them that new application just because it has our extra expectations about the service hours and stuff, just to make sure they know about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should they fill it out though, or is it okay, or they should re-sign it
They filled out,
if there's new stuff there?
Cheryl and who is it? The Steve?
Cheryl and Steve.
They, Barbara actually received, I guess, an old application for returning.
That's what I just said.
Yeah. Well, the money's paid. They paid $20, or they paid $40.
Yep, they have two
I guess
plots.
Yep. They've already paid that. They filled out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm comfortable if we just send them the application and we can just hold them to like it's not like we're showing people what they signed ever really, but even if they just can send us an email confirmation back that they read it and like do see that there's been some like updated portions to the form. All right. Any other questions? We'll talk more about the application obviously in a second, but any more questions for Marge or Eric? All right. Deb, it's your moment.
Okay. So I put something in the chat and I tried to copy paste the whole thing, and apparently there was more than it could handle, so it's a little chopped up. But if you read through, this would be what would be actually sent to each gardener after we get started, so that they know how to record any service hours that they do. So I don't know if anybody has taken a look at what I wrote. Again, I'm sorry, it's a little chopped up.
How do you access the chat? I don't see anything.
It's on the very bottom. There's like a little square you can click. I think that'll make it show up. Bottom
I
right.
have written across that. Closed caption something. I can't see what's under the letters.
Farther to the right. It's a square with a talking bubble kind of shape.
Oh, there it is. It's under more words. Thank you.
Nice.
Okay. So so this would be sent to every gardener to say this is how we can keep track of everybody's service hours to make it easy. So there are two things in here. One is a Google Doc that they would click on, and you can click on it now, except I think I have it in here twice, and I'm not sure the first time I put it in here, it might be messed up. So look for the second one. But if you click on that, you'll come to a table, you'll come to a spreadsheet. And that is what people can themselves put their hours and using their plot number as their ID. So we don't have to have people's names on it. Okay. And just a really short but specific description of what they did. And then what I will do is I will look at it regularly. I will even copy paste it into a Word document so that I have a copy that stays clean. And then I will look every month before the meeting and I'll give you all a report. I'm not going to be coming to meetings, but I'll give a report. I can say, you know, who all did what, you know, who all gave how many hours per month at that month. And so you can look at it every month. So you should, what I can do is I can send this to each of you, to all of you separately rather than in the chat, to look at also to see what, but then the question is, when would it be sent to all the gardeners? I mean, that's whatever makes the most sense to you. And I guess could give it to Margie, and you could just send it to all the gardeners. Once after the meeting, after everybody knows, oh yeah, there's a certain expectation of doing some service, and then they get this, and it says, go to this link and record your hours, and have any problem, call me, and if you really can't figure it out or don't want to do it, call me and email me and I'll put your hours in for you. So is there anything major that people have to say about this? I mean, this is the first time trying this, so yeah.
Do you have to have a Google account?
No.
You have to have a
No.
Okay.
You don't. If you click on that right now, it'll take you there.
Yeah, it looks good. Can we put that on the application?
I wouldn't. I think that's too much information.
Just the link.
I guess you could. I just wouldn't make a big deal about it. It can be on the application, but I think a separate email still should be sent out with it, that says all what I just put in this little paragraph, and then people will have it, and they will have it. They don't have to worry about, oh, that's in the application I sent off, or what did I do with that application thing? They can just, keep this. You could put it whenever you send something out to everybody about about service hours, you could repeat putting in that link. I mean, it could go, it can be sent to people anytime.
All right. Well, I think it might make sense to send that when we have we'll just send it to all the people who have given us their application and paid, and then those people can be sent the link. And then when we have our big official everyone's mandatory meeting, Deb, if you can't come to that, that's totally fine, but we'll make sure there's a part where it's clearly discussed, and we'll send the link out again and make sure, because I feel like that meeting is really good for setting the tone for the season, and would be a good.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I want to say about that.
Yeah.
That means that, am I going to be sending the link? So I have to keep track of who pays when and who got the link, because that's a bit much.
No,
I guess I just meant when we make the new gardener email list, once you have all of the applications and stuff when we're ready to announce to that updated email list, here is our mandatory gardener meeting. Here's the date. With that meeting announcement, we can also include the
So just once.
Yeah, definitely. I think the less emailing, maybe the better. Just streamlining that a little bit.
And you can use so when you send it out, you can use, just as I wrote it up here, that says, here's where you do it, here's how to do it, here's what you may have to make sure of. That's all that needs to be said. That plus the link, and that should be enough for people.
All right, so I'm copying and pasting this now.
I can send it to you, Margie. I can send it to you so you don't have to it's all garbled, right? I mean, it's all chopped up. Let me send it to you. I can send it to you. In fact, I can do it right now. Yeah, of course.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone have any other?
And that's it. And I won't be coming to meetings. I will just be giving a report before the meeting that can be, go into the agenda. Here's the agenda. Here's Deb's report, and that's on the agenda. And if you want to discuss it, you can. If you don't, whatever. But I'll keep it. I'll keep a running whatever.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, I feel comfortable with that. Is there anyone other feelings or comments about the service hour tracking?
It's the annual requirement. How many
The
hours
annual
annually?
requirement is, what did we say? It's definitely in here. I think it says,
No.
well, if it's not in here, then we definitely need it in here. Oh, 4 hours. It's 4 hours. I will
Thank you.
size that.
Per plot?
Yeah, per
Per
plot,
plot.
I think. Yeah. So we do say each gardener. So I could say each plot. That's good. Okay. So we're sort of moving naturally into the application territory. Is that comfortable for everyone?
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. Has everyone had a chance to peek at the application? I can go ahead
Yeah.
and reshare it in the message. So there are trains in Kansas that go by every 10 seconds and they mess up the Wi-Fi. So I apologize if I'm not like the perfect internet stream right now.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea too if everybody could mute if you're not talking, just to cut down on the background noise.
Good idea.
Oh, thank you. That's such a good idea. Okay, great.
Yep.
All right. And with the muting too, if since it's so hard to get like a normal conversational flow, feel free to use like a visual, and I can make sure and like, you know, that you get to talk and stuff like that.
Raise your hand.
So really quick, yeah, you raise your hand. If you can't use the raise your hand button on the, you can also raise your physical hand. I'm comfortable with that. So if everyone has looked at this, any immediate concerns?
I made a couple of suggestions in Google. I mean, in the Google Docs. There were comments I put off on the side. They were minor.
I accepted all of them.
Yeah.
I accept
I don't
all of them
like
because you're an amazing editor.
I don't like commas places. Part of my job.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It was like, this is Frank being a pro. So, great. And Steven's disappeared, but hopefully he'll get back in here. Okay, cool. I guess the one thing I want to make sure, if everyone, I'll go in separately and make sure everyone's emails are on here. Because now I'm not seeing Margie's. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, and so you can make sure about that. And this might not be necessary for this meeting because we are running a little, we're almost at an hour and we still have some stuff to talk about. But if people want to reflect on, maybe we can set up a separate document with people describing what they see their responsibilities being, so we can get that sort of noted down, and so that we all understand like what everybody sees their roles being in the committee, and then we can hold each other to that, or not ask too much of one another, or ask like, can I ask this of you, and just like understand, like, so that way Margie, like, I feel like sometimes it's like you'll send out all the emails, but if there's like oh, this isn't really one of the emails I'm going to send, or we can just like more clarify our expectations from one another. And that can be something we reflect on and put on the agenda for next time also. Does anyone like that idea? Is it thumbs up if that sounds good?
I'm not really clear about what you mean.
Just that some of the jobs, all of the different committee as listed on the application, like, you know, what is the outreach coordinator expected to do? I guess if Eric, if you're comfortable, like reflecting on what that, what your role is. And I just want to get it written down in a document. Like, this is what Eric's responsibilities are. This is what the treasurer's responsibility. So Ted would reflect on that. And then, you know, it's pretty clear with most of them. I guess some of the spaces where it can be a little confusing is like operations, like what does that include, like managing everything down to like mowing committee, the mowing crew and stuff like that? Or do we not want to have that be in there? With Stephen and I sort of splitting this role, I want to clarify like where each of our responsibilities are, make sure that like with Margie being in charge of internal communications, that that's really clear. And just that way, like I know who to ask to do what thing, and you know, filling in the gaps. So that was like emergencies that come up, like we need to get the thistle stuff dealt with. Like, how do we come together to delegate that properly?
I think it's a good idea. I think if the positions kind of have a, you know, some sort of defined responsibilities, then it also, you know, it just gives everybody an idea of who to go to for whatever reason. And then if anyone moves out of a position, then there's kind of a job description for it. So that somebody wanted to take it over, they would have an idea what they were going to be, what the responsibilities would be.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Okay, cool. So we can move that to be like something that we focus on next meeting too.
I have a question too, Sarah. I had made a suggestion about adding something to the community service jobs, opening it up to gardeners who maybe would like to do something else that we haven't thought of. And the reason I added that is because of my own experience and the Northampton garden, and all the community service jobs involved extra physical work, a lot of it, which I can't do any more extra physical work. Just managing my plots is enough. So at the other garden, I suggested we have a long road up and down, a back road, and there's always ragweed growing there. So I added a job going up and down that road and pulling ragweed, which isn't very heavy, because we take care of the ragweed within the garden, but not along the road. It doesn't make sense. And that was accepted. And my thought was, for some people who don't have the ability to do more physical work, maybe there's something we haven't thought of. So if we could leave a space at the end for including other suggestions, we don't have to accept them, but I think it could be good to hear from gardeners if there's something they'd like to do that we haven't included. Especially if they're mobility limited or they have a bad back and they're not able to do more physical work. They could maybe offer to, I don't know. I don't know. It's like no one ever thought of pulling ragweed along the road until I suggested it, and then they thought it was a good idea. So there might be things none of us ever thought of that someone else might suggest. And, you know, we could always say, no, we don't need that. But I think opening it up could be helpful to everybody. And I had sent that as a suggestion, but it came back as rejected. And I'm wondering why.
It just means I didn't verbatim use what you said, but I did add that to the bottom of the application.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you want to read the wording and see if you want to add something to the wording, I can include more about how to accommodate different like physical needs. But I did put in there are other more generalized activities for community service hours, including workdays, thistle cleanup projects, ragweed pulling, aiding in the rehabilitation of abandoned plots, helping other garden members maintain their plots if the need arises, etc. I could also add, if you have suggestions, just ask.
Yeah, because I remember that now because it didn't seem open to suggestions. It seemed like it was another list of possibilities. but it's not like asking people to come up with their own ideas. So
Okay,
other
cool.
suggestions will be considered, something like that would be great.
Okay,
I don't know
great.
if everyone agrees, but it's definitely been helpful for me.
All right. Is anyone uncomfortable with going forward with this version of the application?
Did you send out this most current version?
Yes, I did, but I also just added it to the chat, and link to it as well.
Okay, because the version that I have, which addresses 2023, doesn't have that space at the bottom for saying if you want to suggest another job. So I don't know which version that you're looking at that I'm not looking at. So
it should say at the very bottom, it says other more generalized activity service hours, and it gives my list, and I just added down there, if you have suggestions, please inquire and they will be considered.
Okay. Oh, okay. That so maybe we should move that over toward the margin where it says pollinator, because I think that should be listed as, everything's in line, and then that's out in the middle.
I agree.
Okay.
I think it will.
You just put other
Yeah.
and make
So,
it consistent.
Yeah, because I didn't even notice that. I thought that was part of pollinator. So all garden documents are visible if you don't have a Google account. Is that right?
Yeah, I think they're all visible because you can download them in any format. I think it might just affect your ability to edit.
Okay, because I don't know quite where they are, like the rules. Whenever I've tried to access them, I hit Google account and it tells me you got to log in. I don't want to log in. I just want to be able to, everybody ought to be able to see those documents.
Sure. I will write that down because I can work on just putting them as like PDFs that get sent out to everyone instead of being in a Google Docs format, because I also get a little twisted when it comes to the Google Docs zone. So I'll go through and make those more accessible.
Are you not able to open the one that I sent, the one that I put in the chat?
Yes, I could open that. I did open that. It's some other documents that were sent that were labeled something like ODF. I could not open those.
Oh, but did that come from me?
I know it was some of the documents that were attached to some of the emails. Yeah, they were.
Okay, you're talking about. I just want to make sure my document, the volunteer hours. I'm sorry. As long as that's okay. Working for you,
Yeah.
Thanks.
I was able to open that here, but this is my phone, and I would rather be able to open it on my laptop. So later on, I will go on the laptop, make sure I can open your list of hours, keeping track of hours, and if I can't access it, I'll send you an email.
Okay, thanks.
I think some of those documents might be from my computer, Karen, because I don't have Word on my computer. I have a free version called Libre, Libre. That's very similar to Word, and it sends them in ODS or ODF, but I can change the format to our rich text format.
Okay. Yeah, because I cannot open the ODFs.
Yeah, all right, I can make sure I send it in rich text format, because that's supposedly everything can open rich text.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'll work on. Oh, go ahead, Karen.
No, I'm just saying that even people who aren't gardeners, they might want to look at the rules. It should be easy for them to see the rules in a format that's easily accessible.
Yeah, Frank brought that up at the beginning of the meeting, and I definitely haven't seen the rules in a long time. So I'm gonna look for those too, and I'm gonna make this a project that I get done by next meeting for sure. It's kind of decluttering and clearing up what documents we have accessible to everyone and make it a little bit more obvious, clear, because I personally get really overwhelmed sifting through my email trying to find our various links to things.
Me too.
Yeah, and so I'll add that to sort of one of my responsibilities, is making sure that communication is a little more clear. And yeah, if we can all be conscious of making sure when we share stuff, it's in a format is maybe more accessible.
Well,
I think that's a good goal.
I mean, concerning this woman who lives right nearby and who apparently can't join, this should have been more apparent when she went. So when I've looked for information, one thing I've gone to is the Easthampton government website, and it doesn't say anything there about being, you can only be a citizen of Easthampton. So this information ought to be more clear and available to everybody who's looking around.
Okay. I think that makes sense.
That Easthampton Community Garden is reserved for Easthampton residents?
Sorry, what?
You mean something like the Easthampton Community Garden is reserved for Easthampton residents?
Yeah.
I think we definitely need to look at the rules, because the fact that that's not in there, we had to make that decision as a committee was good. But I think if we want to, I think maybe next meeting we can add that to one of our continuing business activities, is making sure everyone has access to that document before next meeting, and then making sure that we kind of solidify and those feel a little bit better, because next meeting too, we're gonna that's when we're going to be talking about how many plots we have available and the new gardeners and stuff. So then we'll have all of that a little bit more organized for those folks.
If we ever get to the position where we have plots available and no one in Easthampton has stepped up to say, yes, I want it, I would rather see those plots being used. And I don't care what town they're from. I would rather see somebody working them. If people in Easthampton, I can see where Easthampton people get priority, but the point is, have somebody working the plot.
Totally.
Yeah, we have, as long as I've been here, there's never been a plot that was open and unworked from the beginning. It's
okay.
only as people drop out or they just don't do anything, and then Frank does an inspection and it's considered abandoned. And the first year of the pandemic, there was a waiting list that was like 30 people long.
Okay.
And the last year was not much of a waiting list, but all the plots were filled. And I think that looking at trying to remember how many people emailed me and how many plots are open, I think that they'll all be filled this season as well.
Okay.
To have that many open plots when we have 4 out of commission, maybe 5.
Right. Well, and we can also consider posting, this idea of half plots. I mean, other gardens have smaller plots. Some people might be put their name on the list as wanting a half plot. And if we got 2 people who wanted to share a plot, that would be a good way of handling it as well.
I'll add to the application that half plots are available. If you're interested.
I would say might be available.
Right. Might be.
I would say might be. You know, I think if it ever got to a point where somebody from outside the city was able to have a plot, I would just make it contingent on they have it for that season.
Okay.
They don't automatically get the plot the next season. I just don't think it's ever going to come to that because we have 4 plots offline already.
Yeah.
Hey, I just posted a link to the old rules and guidelines.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. Cool. This is awesome. And does this include, Frank, like I think it would be good if sort of have more strict rules around if a plot looks abandoned, like the steps to letting somebody else start amending.
Like an inspection, the bills, then this is how much time you have, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Okay.
That would be the idea, just to post this and then we can think about what we want to edit, and there may be things that need to go, there may be things that we need to add. I think that's a good idea.
Great.
Oh, and look at that. It's in there. If you have an idea,
Yeah.
branching of the garden committee.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so that's a lot for next meeting. That's exciting. I guess, is everyone comfortable with me moving into my last little new business note really quick?
Mm-hmm.
Go for
Sure.
it.
All right.
Yeah.
So clearly the Google Meets is like not the best. And I think Stephen has already alluded to the fact that we're not sure what the city's expectations are for us going forward anyways with virtual meetings. So I guess that's maybe still up in the air. Is there anyone opposed to going back to in-person meetings?
I would like space. Now, I was wondering if there's a big room. I've never seen it, but I think there's a big room upstairs at the Payson Ave.
When in the past, before the pandemic, we were reserved a room in City Hall for our meetings every week. So that would probably be what we'd go back to do, or every month. And that would be what we'd go back to doing. It's just about a comfort with going back to in-person meetings.
Well, the one time I went in for an in-person meeting, that conference room was not very big.
No,
And if we had a number of people showing up, you wouldn't be able to have a lot of space. So why couldn't we, if nobody's using the big room, why couldn't we use part of that big room for our meeting?
Karen, were you talking about the basement room?
No, I'm talking about, the one, I only went to one meeting at the City Hall. So that room that we were in, that's not that big if you have more people showing up.
That was the one that had the big table and the windows, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
There's a room on the first floor.
All right.
That's
And then I think Stephen has some intel about this.
We used to be assigned a room in the basement. But ever since we went virtual and had then subsequently had the opportunity to do a hybrid, there is one room that's set up apart from the city council chamber, which is the room right behind the city council chamber up on the second floor, which is a large, it's got a big table, Karen.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And we actually had 1 or 2 or 3 most meetings there. If we have to go back to in-person meeting, I will talk with Barbara and see if they can't assign us that room, because that does accommodate. It's it's a much bigger room, and as Frank said, it's got it's windows and light and everything else.
And that's the one that has the capability of doing hybrid?
If we're allowed to do that.
And see, this is where I with this, this is being recorded, but this is the part about, why wouldn't we? The idea we wouldn't have a hybrid meeting now is utterly absurd to me.
I agree.
When everybody and their grandmother's talking about equity, and now we're going to go back to not having some sort of a link where someone can watch from home. It's just freaking absurd. It's like, why weren't we doing that before, and why would we go away from that now? It just makes zero sense to me. And again, because I'm getting bombarded with equity about everything, but everybody, most of it is a bunch of talk, and I don't see a lot of action associated with it. And this to me is a freaking no-brainer. We have the technology there. We should be hybrid. I don't mind going in, but some other people may not. And plus, we had our best participation in meetings when we were all remote, and now we're going to go back. It's like, oh, you know what? Let's do away with cars. Let's go back to horses. They were so nice. Like, it's just, it doesn't make any sense.
Without spending, I don't think we have a lot of time to talk about. The only other thing I'll mention is that there's the open meeting law. So that's what, and under the theory of that open meeting law is that people somehow in-person meetings are somehow more accessible to people, but that's not actually true.
Right.
So anyway, it's got to be better about. So let's not. I'll follow up. Let's pick it up in next month. Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
I guess Ted, I just want to make sure, were you trying to say something?
No.
Okay. All right.
Ted just wants Zoom back.
Oh, I guess I just want to make sure for next meeting, we should just plan on it being virtual only, right?
Okay.
Well, we don't know
as soon as I know what the story is, I'll get it out to you, Sarah.
Okay, great. The last thing I was wondering for just like new meeting structure a little bit is, I know it's not always possible, but I do think it would really help accessibility to these meetings if we could keep it in mind to try to keep them at an hour. And in the case of like some of these new really like topics that we need to talk about, like planning, that we'll talk about the next meeting, or as like you're participating in the discussion, keeping in mind, like, how can we as like a committee organize these conversations so that they're a little shorter? I have heard from other gardeners that people don't come because they don't know what they're getting into and don't have a lot of time to commit to coming to these if they're super long. And I do think people are a little confused about how the committee works. And so the more we can keep it, conscientious of that time frame, I think it might help people come. And then the other thing that maybe is something we should hold off talking about until next time too, since we are almost at an hour and a half, is I did talk to city clerk or Barbara about the formality of the meetings, because I've heard from some gardeners that after coming to the first mandatory meeting, they're a little scared off by the format. And she said that we can use agendas similar to the city council, like roll call, minutes, public speaking time, old business, new business, but it's not necessary, and that the city doesn't really have an expectation towards the format of our meeting. I do really like how organized our meeting is structurally, as far as like having that agenda. But I do get a little, obviously, I think everyone's seen, I don't really know how to handle the like, does anyone oppose stuff is like a little like alien to me. What was that, Frank?
The Roberts rules.
Yeah. And so I guess if we're comfortable with it, I might start using just more of these words like, is anyone opposed to like moving forward, or is like anyone like have any I might just keep it more in that framework versus using that other format that I come to expect out of a city council meeting. But
I think it's good. There's a couple of things that I think are like when we're adopting minutes, I think it's a good thing.
Okay.
And I think when we're adopting the treasurer's report, I think it's a good thing too.
Okay, cool.
Take a vote.
Yeah, because one is like a matter of record.
Right.
Well, they both are, but then in terms of the minutes, and then the other, because that's going to be public accessible, but for the public, and then also just the treasury reports because of the money, and we really want to make sure that all that's.
There's any
the other stuff I could kind of be a lot more laid back on, but I think those two things we might want to think of sticking to it. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, any expenditure should be approved. Otherwise, that could lead to problems.
Cool. I'm definitely fine with making sure those parts are really clear.
Yeah.
And sort of in that structure. Okay, great. All right.
And then of course eating.
All right. So then everyone help me. What is this format? What am I supposed to say?
What would you like to say?
Well, what is this procedure? What is the words what is the script for? Like, I think I just keep I'm just not taking it in. When I want to propose, like, are the minutes okay with everyone? And I'm asking for someone's approval on that. What is the?
One of us could meet with you and talk about that. That might be the easiest way, Sarah.
But that's easy.
Stephen or myself. Or
or could you just? You guys did it earlier because Stephen, what is it that you said when you wanted to accept the minutes?
Stephen's not there now. He
might have stepped out.
What's that?
Well, you just say, if it was a treasurer report, then once Ted's done, you just say, and then Ted will say, oh, that's it. And then you say, do I have a motion to
do I have a motion to?
Yeah, do I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report? And then someone says aye, and then second, and then somebody seconds, and then everybody votes yay or nay. Or abstain, but it's kind of be weird to abstain on the treasurer's report.
We just did a simple script. This is.
Yeah, okay, that's great. I might just.
Yeah, but if you haven't done it, I get it. So, but it's pretty straight. That's it. There's
cool.
Nothing more to it, really. There's a bunch of really silly, a lot of other crazy rules that go with it, but those are mainly happen in very large meetings, and there's one person who is designated to be like the Roberts Rules expert, and they know it. It's like, wait a minute, ask grandma or grandpa because they'll know. It's like kind of like that. There's a person that's designated for that, but what we do, it's pretty straightforward. I think those couple of things I mentioned, and then to adjourn the meeting, you do it, but that's it. I could see not really needing it for anything else.
Cool. And I just want to make sure I can explain it to people at the top of our first meeting too, so everyone knows what's going on. I know that format's used a lot in union meetings, and I do like that format for how to organize. Like when we do get into a discussion, I might ask you guys if we're comfortable with adopting some of the ways of doing a queue for how to have conversations. But that can be something that I think a little bit more on, and you guys can think a little bit more on too for next meeting. Great. So our next meeting is, what did we just say?
April 6th.
April 6th?
Yeah.
So do I have a motion to go with April 6th, everybody?
So moved.
I don't think we need to, right? That's our set.
We don't need it for that? Okay, great.
No.
So April 6th at 7. It's already in the in the system with the city. Oh, what's up, Margie?
I just want some clarity. So, the application that you just posted, is that what I'm now sending to our gardeners?
Yes.
And are we staying with the same fee? We haven't discussed the fee.
Crap.
Oops.
Yes,
I guess I just want to
stay
say,
with it.
Ted, after you looked at the,
Yeah.
well, I was just going to say,
Double the fee for the beer allowance.
the big thing we were waiting on was Ted was going to look at our financial situation. And
I
did it
think
feel
we're
good?
I think we're good to start the year at the same fee. But we're going to have to look at it, closely, or figure out ways of doing some fundraising if necessary to take on some of the projects that we keep talking about. I think just doing our normal business will probably be okay, and just go with the old $20 per plot. And we'll have to see how it goes, especially if we keep losing plots. I'll just propose that we make a motion that we have the same $20 fee per plot for the gardening year 2023.
I second it.
I have another idea.
Yeah.
Frank, you suggested a sliding scale at one point. We can put it out there that the fee is still 20, but we welcome, if anybody wants to pay 25, it would be welcome and help the garden complete project, something like that.
Okay.
That's my suggestion.
I don't want to call it a sliding scale. I would think that we could make say that if we have certain projects and we think we need some money, that we can ask people if they could support or help out with an additional, and not consider it as part of the fee.
Right, because if it's part of the fee, does that automatically go into the lockbox?
Repeat that, Eric.
If we call it part of the fee, doesn't it go into a separate budget? It doesn't go into like the freely fundable money, right?
It has to be paid to the city, but we could accept donations which could go into petty cash per se, or be contributed. People could contribute in kind. Somebody wants to donate some lumber. There are many ways to do it. Time, treasure, talent, I guess, is a good way to make additional contributions over and above what we normally require in the way of a fee, in the way of our volunteer time, etc.
So how about something like we just keep the fee the same and we add something saying donations might be, I don't know if requested is the right word, for ongoing projects or necessary projects.
Donations would be welcome.
What?
Do we feel like that needs to be part of the application, or just sort of something we talk about maybe with all of the gardeners who sign up this year?
I think you have that right. Yeah. I don't think it has of the application.
Cool.
As needed, we could always talk about it.
All right. Well, this might be a good time. Do I have a motion to move forward with the 2023 plot application as it is updated right now?
Including the fee, including the $20 fee.
Including just the $20 fee, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right. Anyone second?
Second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right.
Great. Okay, cool. Awesome. And thanks for sending that out, Margie. And I guess, Eric, I don't know if in the past you've shared that on the social media accounts and stuff. But can
So we finalized this version of the application. All the edits have been made and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, I'll share that out.
And I'm going to put in there that the deadline is April 3rd. I'm also going to request, if anyone has cardboard, donations of cardboard are welcome at this time. And there was one more thing. I'm also going to put out there that there's a half a plot available that has been paid for. But I don't know if should I put that out to returning gardeners in case somebody wants to downsize or something like that?
I think that makes sense.
Okay.
And if it gets a little, I feel like that kind of adds more work for you, Margie. So just let me know.
Oh, that's not a
You're like,
problem.
okay.
The half plot can't be in addition to a plot.
Yeah.
It
Because
cannot.
some people will think of doing that.
Like me.
Me.
Yeah. Margie and I are always.
You guys could do a quarter plot.
Yeah. All right. Okay, great. Well, this was awesome. So nice to see everybody again. And I'm excited to see everybody in person when that happens.
Yeah.
At the garden or otherwise. Or when you guys come into Small Upton, which some of you do.
Yeah,
Love that.
also a good idea.
All right, awesome. So do I have a motion to end the meeting?
Adjourn.
Moved.
All right, second.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Bye.
Hi. Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
We'll see everybody in April.
Good job, Sarah.
Bye.
Or at the small
Oh,
level.
thanks. Yeah. All right, bye, everybody.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.